welcome back to my channel. It's been a very long time since I made a video. Actually, that's not true. I have been making videos. However, I haven't had the time to edit and upload, and those videos from 2024 have been archived. I'll see if I can edit them and upload them later on in the year. But towards the end of the year, I was under a lot of pressure at work, and I was studying as well, as I did share last year, and the workload just became a lot and something had to give, and unfortunately it had to be the YouTube channel, and I put that on pause for a while until I completed my exam. I will jump right into it. We will have other videos where we'll catch up on how school went. But in today's video, I would like to talk about the roles that are available in tech. And I started this series on my TikTok account, and there were lots of questions and good responses from there, and I felt I needed to do a longer form video to go into more details regarding the roles that I've already covered in the TikTok videos. In addition to that, there have been questions as well, so my hope is that in this video I'll be able to answer those questions as well. If anything is unclear regarding the roles, then we'll take it from there. Let me actually introduce myself, because I don't think I have done that properly in this video. If you're new to this channel, my name is Vu. I have been working in the tech space for about 10 years now, and I am here to just share my knowledge on things that excite me about tech, things that I've learned by being in the industry for such a long time, well, a decade, and just to get more women to be more enthusiastic and keen to join the tech space. I feel it is still quite a male-dominated industry, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel a lot of women still feel intimidated and feel they do not have what it takes to join the tech industry. And so I'm just out here trying to encourage people, especially the girlies, to join the tech space, and for them to realize that even in 2025 it's not too late. But again, in this video I will be focusing on the roles that are available in tech, and I'll go into that just. Okay, I have notes in my phone, so if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes. So the first role that I'd like to talk about is the product owner. And to give clarity regarding the roles, I will be using the analogy of building a toy castle or building a real castle, whichever one you prefer, and also using a generic or very common or popular application, which is WhatsApp, the application that is on our phones that we use to send messages, videos, and voice notes, and all of those fancy things. Just so that I give context, and so that I'm able to simplify the roles in the context of things that we can relate to or understand. Okay, so we'll start off with the product owner. Who is the product owner? What is a product owner? So, as the name states, it's someone who owns the product. Depending on the type of organization that you're working with or exposed to, a product owner is someone who is responsible for a particular thing or a tool or an application. Using the context of building a toy castle, a product owner is the person who decides or who owns the castle that we're going to build, and who decides what the castle is going to be about and what it looks like. Usually in a big corporate organization, different product owners are assigned to different products in that organization, whereas with startups, usually the initial product owner is the founding member or the director of that startup, or one of the directors, depending on how it's set up. So the product owner, like I said, owns the product. They are the ones to actually say, okay, let's build a castle instead of a big mansion or a penthouse. That is what the product owner is. And usually they facilitate or respond. They make sure that we have a budget to actually do that, depending on the business objectives. So that's what a product owner is in the context of building a castle. Now, bringing it into the context of tech, using WhatsApp as an example, the product owner is the one who decides, let's create an application that people can use for instant messaging, right? That's what a product owner is. However, sometimes there's already an established product or tool, right? And a product owner is brought in. Sorry, someone's just sending a message. And then a product owner is brought into the space. Let's say we already have an existing castle, and then someone takes on that role of being a product owner. The product owner then has the power to decide, okay, are we smashing the towers or making the towers bigger? Are we removing the doors or changing the looks of the doors? That is what the product owner does. They decide what we're doing with the castle because they own it. In the tech space, a product owner is then someone who decides we need to change the WhatsApp logo from green to blue, for example. Or let's add a view once feature so that people can send pictures that can be viewed only once. So that is what a product owner does. They decide what is being done, and there is a team of people who then execute this. A product owner is technically part of the software development team or a team that is building the castle or the application. However, they are like the point of the source of truth. People go to them for clarity. Well, not everyone, but the business analyst goes to the product owner for clarity regarding the towers that we're going to smash, or what shade of blue we're changing the WhatsApp logo to look like. But we'll get into the business analyst later. So that is the product owner. Then after the product owner, we will talk about the UI or UX designer. So this person is actually a designer, and they have heard and understood what the product owner wants, and so they design models on paper for the product owner to review and see if it is exactly what they want. Why the UX designer is there? It's because designing things on paper is a lot cheaper than actually building a castle, for example, and then later on realizing actually that's not really what I had in mind. It costs a lot to make mistakes like that. So the UX designer puts it on paper, and the product owner sort of goes through that to make sure that what is on paper is what it is that they had in their mind. They look at where the doors will be located in the case of a castle, how tall the towers will be in proportion to the rest of the castle, and then how we flow from the entrance of the castle to I don't know what rooms are in a castle. To the entertainment area in the castle. Now, in the context of an application, using WhatsApp again, the UX designer, UX or UI, I can use those interchangeably. The UX designer is the person who sees the process flow. First of all, they design how the application is going to look, where the save button is going to be, how the application looks for someone who is going to use it. If you've noticed, sometimes you use an application and it's so frustrating to use it because you can't find the button to do what it is that you want to do, whether it's to log out or save or go to the next screen. It's not obviously there. Usually that is something that a UX or UI designer would have done or looked into to make sure that the user experience is pleasurable for the user. So UX means user experience, that's what it stands for, and UI means user interface, and basically the process flow. I'm going to divert here. So for example, in your banking app, the flow from you logging in, making a transfer to another bank account, and sending a proof of payment, and then logging out, that can be one process. And the UX UI designer sort of puts that on paper in terms of how it will look like, so that the whole process is seamless and not frustrating to the user. That's what the UX UI designer does. They take what the product owner has requested, puts it on paper so that it's visible for everyone to see and understand, because when we talk conceptually, people are thinking different things, but once it's on paper, we can all say, actually, no, this button that you've put here, I'd have liked it to be in this location, or the door that you've put in the castle needs to move a little bit to the left. So that is what a UX or UI designer. Then we have the builders of the castle. These are people who actually put in the work to build and construct this idea that has been put on paper by the UX designer and that the product owner wants. In the context of tech, these are the developers, people who write code to instruct a system to do certain things. And usually when people think of roles in tech, they think of the programmers or the developers and think everyone needs to understand code or programming, but that's not necessarily the case. But that is the role of programmers, and they instruct the processes of the computers to do certain things using different languages. As in natural languages, we have languages like English, which I'm using to speak to you now, French, Portuguese, Spanish. Programmers also have different languages that they use to communicate with computers, if that makes sense. It tells the computer, okay, when someone visits this website, this is what you must bring. All of those instructions are given to the computer to do using a specific language, and that's what programmers do. And some programmers are able to code in many languages, some sort of specialize, but in essence, in the context of building a castle, a programmer is the builder. Then now we'll talk about the business analyst. The business analyst works very closely with the product owner. The product owner has decided, okay, we're going to build a castle, and I want my castle to have 5 towers and 20 doors, right? The business analyst, after having looked at what the UX UI designer has put in paper and has been signed off by the product owner, they now go into the details of what each thing should do. So yes, you want 5 castles, and yes, the UX designer has put it there that this is where the 5 towers will be located. The business analyst then goes into the detail to say, okay, but in this castle or in this tower, the interior must be white and it must overlook the mountains. And in this tower, it must be a workout tower where we have a lot of gym equipment, and when you go in there, the temperature must be at a certain place. So basically, the business analyst actually breaks it down so that everyone is clear, not just on how things look, which is what the UX designer would have done, but also what is being done and what the expected outcome of a particular thing, room, or feature is. In the context of WhatsApp, the business analyst will say, okay, we're changing the WhatsApp logo from green to blue. The business analyst will then say, which shade of blue are we changing the application to? Or when we send a view once message, how many people can receive a view once message at the same time? Or the business analyst makes sure that if the view once message is sent in a group, only one person can view it at a time, for example. It's just a vague example, but that's what the business analyst does. And so if the builders are building something and for some reason they are unclear about where certain things should be or how they should work, the first person that they reach out to is the business analyst, because the business analyst clarifies the requirements. And using those requirements, the inspector also then assesses what has been built by the developer with what the business analyst has said, actually, this is not working as expected. Or the inspector can even interrogate and say, okay, the business analyst said this, but this is what is happening, but it's not making sense right now. So it's a collaborative effort that happens within those roles in a team. I hope that is clear. I'll move on to the next. Then after the builders, we have the testers or the QA engineers. They are different, but let's just call them testers for the sake of this video. Testers are inspectors, right? When the product owner has requested things to be done a certain way, it's put there on paper by the UX UI designer, and the builders have built it. Someone needs to make sure that what has been built is what is required. So the testers basically go use the manual that they have been given that should have been used by the developers to build the castle or to build the application, and they test the application based on that assessment. So for example, using an application, one of the requirements for WhatsApp maybe is that I should be able to send a message to someone in my contacts. An inspector actually makes sure that the application actually sends the message. So they will create a message and send it, and then check that the recipient has received the message. That is just an example of part of what the tester can do. Sometimes testing can involve actually writing code to test certain processes. So it's not just limited to manually doing things, though that is a big part of it. There are QA engineers who actually write code to test functionality. So that is what an inspector or a tester does. Okay. Then now the next role I'm going to talk about is a back-end developer. Also a developer, but one who specializes in the back end, as the name says. So in the context of a castle, the back-end developer makes sure that the hidden or secret tunnels in the castle are always accessible and they're not blocked, that the storage rooms are working as they should. If there are safes in the castle, that these safes are secured and not easy to access. That is what a back-end developer does. Now, in the context of a castle. Now, in the context of an application, I'm just going to clarify my points here. So things like storing documents or data, the backend developer makes sure that after you've uploaded your documents, for example, that those documents are actually stored in a database so that you are able to retrieve them, right? And also things like passwords are working correctly, and for example the encryption on the WhatsApp application, that is working correctly. The back end is mainly made up of stuff that you can't see. It's things that happen in the background that make sure that the application runs smoothly, like how long it takes for a website to upload. Those are things, no, I was correct. So how long it takes for an application to upload, to load up, and how fast it runs. That's what a back-end developer does. Then intuitively, a front-end developer is the one that is responsible in the context of a castle for how the castle looks on the outside, what paint or colors we have, how the doors open in the castle, and what color the roof is. The front-end developer is the one who's responsible for making an application or website look nice on the front, and that it's aesthetically pleasing, and that the user doesn't get to see certain things that are happening in the background. So that's what the front-end developer is. I guess we could also low-key call them makeup artists because they just make things look prettier. Yeah. Then we have another type of developer, which is the DevOps engineer. The DevOps engineer makes sure that everything is running properly. So in the context of a castle, they make sure that the lights stay on, that the plumbing is not blocked, that there's always electricity connections, and that if ever the power goes out or if there's an outage, they're quickly able to fix that. That is in the context of building a castle. and it is somewhat more back-end as well. I guess it's a type of back-end developer, and they also then make sure that basically in the background everything is running smoothly, and should there be any issues, the DevOps engineer is the one who's able to fix that. So now in the context of tech, a DevOps engineer is the one who's responsible for servers being down. You might have tried to visit a website and you've seen when the website fails to load that the servers are down or you can't reach the server. That is stuff that the DevOps engineer should be looking at and should make sure that the servers are actually not down. That's part of what a DevOps engineer does, and again is able to fix things when they go down and make sure that the applications or the websites are running smoothly. I don't think I've missed anything when it comes to the DevOps engineer, but if you want more details regarding that, please let me know in the comments and I'll be more than happy to clarify. And there is the contentious role, and I say contentious because different people have different ideas of what this role is. Okay, it just started raining. I need to get my clothes outside. Sorry. False alarm. Okay, where was I? Yes, the project manager. So the project manager is the one who is responsible for making sure that everything is running smoothly. This is a bit of a contentious role because some organizations do not have project managers. They only have Scrum Masters. And some organizations have both Scrum Masters and project managers. But essentially, project managers are not a part of the team. However, they are big helpers with the team. They protect the team's time, whether they're building a castle or building an application. For example, a product owner or another stakeholder who's investing in the castle might need clarity on what is being done. Instead of disturbing a developer or an inspector or business analyst, their first point of contact is the project manager or the Scrum Master. I'm saying or the Scrum Master because the roles are very similar, but for the context of this video, let me just put them together as one, right? So they protect the team in that regard, that the team gets to focus on what their tasks that they're doing, and they manage communications with other people, other stakeholders outside of the team. In addition to that, they make sure that the team is able to execute things on schedule and within a certain budget. So they help facilitate things within the team as well, if there are issues within the team, because sometimes that can happen. Or alternatively, they facilitate things outside of the team to make the team's life easier. For example, let's say the team might be feeling frustrated because of one thing or the other. They can escalate that to their project manager and their Scrum Master, and the Scrum Master sort of removes that challenge for them or the impediment for them so that they can focus on what it is that they're doing and that they can do it well. So that is what a project manager is. Let me see if I've missed anything there. Yeah, that's what a project manager is / Scrum Master. I'm going to just do 2 more roles in this video, and then I'll look at other roles at another time. Because I did get questions regarding the cyber. Okay, then we have a technical writer. A technical writer is someone who writes the instruction manual on how to use the castle or how to navigate the castle, how to get from point A to point B within the castle. That's what a technical writer is. and they basically create maps and guides for people who will be visiting the castle once it's completed. In the context of tech, they then are responsible for doing the user guidelines and the FAQs that we see on a few websites, and just other documentation that helps with using an application. So that is what a technical writer does. Then we have the security specialist or the cyber specialist. This is basically, in the context of a castle, make sure that all the doors are locked on time, and that no one who's not supposed to be in the castle gets to be in the castle, and that no thieves or creepy people can make their way into the castle. Also, if you haven't paid to visit the castle, you haven't paid your day pass to visit the castle, you shouldn't be able to access the castle. That's what a security specialist is. And then in the context of tech, basically they also then protect an application or website from hackers, and not only that, the data as well, the passwords, just to make sure that everything is secure. And also when data is being transmitted from your device to the server, that no one can put a roadblock there or listen into the data and steal some of the data. They are responsible for making sure that everything is secure and that your data or information is not compromised by you using a specific application. I hope this helps. I hope yes, so that is the end of this video. If there is a role that you feel I did not really clarify on, or I didn't give as much information on as you would like, or if you have any questions regarding a particular role, please mention them in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to give you that information. And let's keep the conversation going. There are shorter videos that I've done that are on my TikTok. I will also put a link to my TikTok account in the description box. We don't know how long TikTok will be around for, but maybe it will just impact people in the United States. We're not sure. But yeah, that is it from me today, and this is my first video for 2025. I look forward to many more videos with you this year. And I hope you have a great rest of your day from wherever it is that you're watching from. Bye bye.